Mr. Rex Chapman. How you doing, sir?
I'm great, Eton, and man, thanks for having me. I've been a fan of yours for a long time.
Oh, that's what's up. I appreciate that. No, I've been
Absolutely.
I've been following you on Twitter for a while, and we'll get to all of that. Welcome to the basketball news family.
Thank you. Thank
It's
you.
great to have you. First I want to ask you, what can everybody expect from your podcast, and what type of things are you going to cover?
I think we're, in the process of trying to figure that out right now.
Okay.
I think really, there's going to be no shortage of people. I think that we can get to, from a lot of different entertainment backgrounds,
Right.
sports, acting. There's so many people that follow this silly Twitter channel of mine that I've been able to kind of connect some dots with people. So I'm looking forward to it. Really, for lack of a better term, I think it's going to be a pretty liberal safe haven for
Okay.
people to come,
Okay.
and where we can talk politics, and we
Right.
can talk sports, and hopefully, through that find, that we're all people trying to do this out here, and we're not all that different.
Right.
But right now, I think is an important time. I know we'll get into it, but
Uh-huh.
just racially, socially in this country, you're younger than I am.
Mhm.
You're going through this. Really, I mean, there have been things that have happened in my lifetime,
Mhm.
but nothing like what we've experienced right now.
Mhm.
In my opinion,
Mhm.
I remember riots, Watts, all that stuff way back when, but I was a little kid. I
Right.
thought we were past all that stuff. And now here we are. I think that to have a platform like we do, fortunate enough to do,
Mhm.
to not take advantage of that and try to help people and teach a little bit, inform, I think would be a little bit cowardly. So I plan on being outspoken on things that I know, and hopefully have guests on that are going to teach me things.
And let's talk about that a little bit, because you weren't a big fan of Twitter, and
Hmm.
social media, and then you just got on there and just took off, and you just started touching on everything, with the blocker charge, which are all
Yeah,
hilarious, and then you'll have like the feel good ones, like with the
yeah,
dogs or something like that, and then you'll get into the politics and the Karens and everything. Like,
yeah.
tell me how all of that came about with social media in particular.
Really by accident, Eton.
Oh.
When I finished playing, it's been 20 years ago now.
Mhm.
2000 was when I retired. That's hard to believe, but I wasn't a drinker, smoker. I didn't party. I would go out and have a drink, have a beer. If I drank a beer, if I played, I don't know, 800,000 games in the NBA. If I had a drink the night before, 12 of them, that would have been a lot. I just wasn't that guy. I
Okay.
like to go and laugh with my boys and all, and they all did their stuff, but I
Right.
just wasn't that guy.
Right.
But right at the end of my career, I had 7 surgeries my last 3 years. The doctor gave me OxyContin right at the end
Mm-hmm.
of that, and I spent about 15 years battling painkiller addiction.
Mm.
So about 6 or 7 years ago, 7 years ago, now I guess, I went to rehab for the third time. I got out. I probably had, at that point, I probably had, I don't know, just from basketball, 50,000 Twitter followers,
Mm.
right? I was
Mm-hmm.
on it, but I didn't really do anything on it. I
Mm-hmm.
went into rehab. I got myself off of the pain medicine. And I came back to Kentucky. I was living in LA. I came back to Kentucky and started doing some stuff for Kentucky basketball again,
Okay.
pregame stuff, and just kind of enjoying a slower pace in Kentucky than what I'd been used to
Mm-hmm.
out west. So, Twitter kind of grew a little bit from that. I don't know, 75,000, 100,000 followers. Um, but then I just stumbled upon putting out the stupid blocker charge videos. I saw a dolphin video one day, a guy paddleboarding out in the ocean, and a
Uh-huh.
dolphin just jumped up, square hit him in the chest, and I said to myself, "That's a fucking charge." Just and like we do, and
Right.
I just tweeted it out. People thought it was funny or
Yeah.
whatever, and so I started doing that, and I kept to that for quite some time, and but I was having a really tough time with Trump. And
Mm.
with Mitch McConnell and with Rand Paul, Kentucky representatives, senators. And I started trying to pick my spots. You know, this is a red state. And people hate it. People don't want to be told on. That's the deal. You know, well, they're not mad. What I'm saying is not wrong.
Right.
What I'm saying just hurts their feelings. And so but the worse Trump got, the more overtly racist he became. I felt like I needed to speak up a little bit more. And then last summer, with George Floyd and Breonna Taylor and Jacob Blake and on and on and on, I just got fed up. And when I say that, this is shit I knew. I've been knowing since I was a teenager. Right. And a big part of me feels like I let a lot of my friends down, not speaking up, you know, at a younger age about some of these things. You know, I tried here and there, but you know, there comes a point, you know, I've been through a lot of stuff. At this point, I've been very, very fortunate. I'm happy to feel healthy and alive at this point for my kids. And, but I'm not going down without trying to, I've felt strongly about a lot of racial stuff since I was a little kid and growing up in Kentucky. And, you know, I just felt like it was kind of time for me to say some things.
So let's go back a little bit since you mentioned it. Let's go back to young Rex in Kentucky. What were your experiences like? You know, and the reason why I'm asking is a lot of times, you know, I'll repost something that you tweeted on Facebook, and you know, a lot of the reactions sometimes will be like, "Wait, that's Rex Chapman said that from Kentucky."
Yeah.
Like, when did he get so woke? Like, wait, like I was like, yeah. So I want to ask you, you know, what about your childhood contributed to, you know, who you are now in your activism, speaking out, and everything like that?
I think, well, I was very fortunate. The city I grew up in is Owensboro, Kentucky, and it's Kentucky. Don't get me wrong, but it's a city of about 60,000 people. Okay. And so for Kentucky, when I was growing up there, it was the third biggest city in Kentucky. So I've been kind of a city kid my whole life. I've never been hunting. I've maybe been fishing a couple times. I just wasn't in. Also, my dad didn't do that stuff. He was a basketball coach. Okay. Also, to go back, he was a basketball player. He played at Kentucky, transferred, went to Western Kentucky, played in the ABA. He was a basketball coach my whole life. So I grew up around basketball from as long as I can remember. He was a good player, and you know, the guys there's 4 high schools in our hometown. Two of them are more predominantly black schools, athletics wise. Okay. The other 2 are more lily white schools, and I went to one of the 2 lily white schools. Okay. But my boys I grew up with, playing ball with, were my dad's, the guys he played with and against in high school. Gotcha. Their kids. Yeah. So my dad, from the time I was little, I just wanted to play basketball. I just wanted to play. And my dad, from a very young age, he said, well, if you're going to play, you need to go play against the best players. And so he would take me down, drop me off of what was, the projects for Owensboro. Okay. And so I would go down there as early as 7, 8 years old, and I would be dropped off for the weekend, and I would stay in a 2-bedroom apartment with 8 people, and it was hot because there was no air conditioning, and it was and might eat twice a day, but maybe not. Okay. And so from a very young age, it hurt me, but it stayed with me. So that kind of set the stage for all of that. Okay. And then, you know, I became a pretty good player, and those guys, from the time I was 6 or 7, that was my AAU team.
Okay.
So we were, I was the only white kid on the team, and we won the state in Kentucky. We went to the nationals. We're third or fourth in the nationals. So that's how I grew up. And then when I was about 15, and I really never had a girlfriend, anything. But one of my best friends, Mark Higgs, black dude who went to Kentucky. He was a year ahead of me in high school, All-American football player, played in NFL. Well, me and his sister, naturally, we spent a lot of time around one another. We were the same grade, naturally, and she won the state 100 2 years in a row. Could fly. Okay. So, but we just sort of organically became boyfriend and girlfriend.
I got you.
Well, I remember. I truly, it hurts me to this day to think about it, because back then nobody had phones and cameras and shit.
Right.
So you exchange pictures, pictures, give me your pic, you're from the yearbook. Right. Well, I remember showing a friend of mine's mom, one of my buddies said, Rex got a girlfriend. And I remember they said, you got a pic. I showed her a picture, and I'll never forget the look on her. I'll never forget the look on her face each time.
Wow.
She didn't care to hide that she was displeased, and I didn't know why she was displeased. I didn't know if she didn't think she was pretty, or what. And then, like, it bothered me the rest of the day. And then I started figuring this stuff out. And then, as people would find out, they'd tell us to hide and not do that. And so we did a lot of that in high school. We had just hid. And then she went to Kentucky when I went to Kentucky. Okay. And then when I got to school now, also, Etan, I was not a great boyfriend. I was dating white girls as well. So I'm not trying to come off as a great dude. But it was kind of genius, because the white sororities and the black sororities, it may as well be on two different planets.
Right. So nobody knew each other. Yeah. So nobody was.
So when we got to college, we're like, well, you know what? We got classes together. We're going to go to classes. Might hold hands, go to class, something, whatever. Mm-hmm. They weren't having it. Right. They weren't having it, and I started getting called in. By people at the school to say, hey, we don't care, but we might want to just be discreet.
Really?
Or you might
like the coaching staff, really? Wow.
Talk to Dwayne Casey about it. I've talked about this a lot over the years. It miraculously doesn't get out there too much. It's not very, very popular thing. But yeah, I was told 4 or 5 times in college, and I'd already been being told this in high school, and now I'm growing up a little bit. I'm 19 or 20. Now I'm 19, I guess. Yeah. I left after my sophomore year, and it was the right time for me to go. Socially, it wasn't. I was way immature and young. I should have probably stayed another year for that. I could play, but I wasn't. I was just, I was a baby. I was the youngest player. My rookie year, I was the youngest player in the NBA. Kareem was the oldest player. Wow. He was 41, and I think I was 19 and turned 20. So, but so I was starting to grow up a little bit, and near the end of my sophomore year, I remember them calling me in again, and I got upset. I didn't have a voice at that enough to really go back at anybody, but I got really upset. And I remember leaving there, and my roommate Reggie Hansen, I got back over, and I was in tears at this point. And he said, "What's wrong, man?" And I said, "Dude, I don't party. I couldn't get into bars. I didn't want to drink it. I was that straight, and I said, I give everything. I do. When y'all are out going to the bars and stuff, I go back and shoot, because they won't let me go into the bars just to hang out with you guys. They'll get shut down. that happened regularly in college. So I just ended up having my own key to the Coliseum. I go to, but I remember going back and telling him, I said, I give everything, and they're taking all my time. Even they would have me go over. I was signing hundreds of cards a day, fan mail and stuff like that, and then they wanted me to go do photo shoots. And I didn't care about school. I should have. I didn't. I was able to kind of cruise through though, but they wanted me to, go photo shoots, and they needed me to be the All-American kid.
Yeah, the guy.
And so I kind of started resenting that, and I told Reggie, I said, I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it. They can take all my time, but they're not going to tell me who I can date. And so shortly there, I mean, within a couple months, stuff went down. We were going to go on probation in Kentucky.
Okay.
Sean Kemp was coming in. He'd have been a freshman my junior year.
Oh,
we'd have had a really good team.
Goodness.
Chris Mills, Eric Manuel. We would have been loaded.
Y'all had a crew.
We had a crew. But so I left, and I left school and then went to Charlotte, and then got to Charlotte, and it had a little bit more of that. So
the same thing.
Same thing. I'd never heard. I had held out for a week. I've told this before too. I held out for a week. In camp like a dummy for like $25,000 more. And so I'm late to camp. But me and my agent, David Falk, we went over to the owner's house, and we were going to try to get this deal done or whatever. And he took me downstairs, and he point blank he said, "Do you have a black girlfriend?"
Really?
And I said, and at the time I didn't. We were like, and I said, right. I don't, but I said, I got to tell you, I guess if I do, if that's going to make me a bad guy, I'm just going to be a bad guy. And that's what I said. It was the first time in my life. And we went right upstairs and signed the deal. And that was that, except that always stuck with me. Because what he said after that was, and it's the first time I'd ever even heard the term. I had to go back and ask somebody what it meant. He said, well, just know we live down here in the Bible Belt. And there was the same thing. It was just be careful, because people are not going to like it. Maybe hide it, be discreet. It was coded. And then
wait, and this was in year what? This was
1988.
This was in 88. It's not like we're talking about back in the 50s and the 60s. This is 88.
I know. And then my best friend to this day, one of my best friends is Dell Curry, and Stephen was just born. Okay. Dell and I, when I pulled up to my apartment, my new apartment, he and Sonia were 2 doors down. He had a broken arm. We played the same position.
Right.
He was he was actually, he's about 4 or 5 years, but I came out early. He played 4 years of college. He and Muggsy are my boys. We all lived in the same little complex. And they basically helped raise me. Dell and Sonia did, while they were raising Stephen. I was Steph's first little babysitter.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. But the thing was, ownership and they thought Sonia was white. And so they were not happy that and as much as everybody would say, look, who gives a shit?
Right.
But B, come on, man. Come on. So they went through that, and they've talked about it. It's but again, Eitan, I thought we were past all this stuff. I knew that when we had a black president, I knew racism wasn't over. I assumed everybody did. Just like if Hillary Clinton would have won, sexism wasn't going to be over. Still, you got to keep building. But what I didn't realize, and I had lived out west for about 20 years, I didn't realize that when Hillary Clinton lost, I didn't realize how mad some white people were that we had a black president. And that's just gross to me.
Well, that's what opened the door for Trump. That was what he ran on. He didn't have any other qualifications. You know what I mean? He just ran on that.
I know.
Goodness gracious. So that's a lot. for
Yeah.
you to deal with, and that opened your eyes to racism. I guess you're experiencing it. Let me just go back a little bit more. So
I need to point out too. We're talking about how it affected me.
right.
My girlfriend Sean, who I didn't tell her a lot of that. She knew some of it, but I didn't tell her all the times that was happening. We're still good friends. She lives in Cincinnati.
Okay.
We still very, very good friends. But it was mean and hateful. It was mean to her, hateful to her.
Wow.
Awful, because that's what it is. What you're saying is, look, me, hey, white guy, you dating her looks bad for you. No, it doesn't. You think it does.
Wow.
Right? But that's what they're saying. Like she's not good enough.
Yeah.
What? I'm an idiot. Just on a basic level. I'm a guy. I'm an athlete.
Right.
So just on a basic level, yeah. That maybe she shouldn't date me for that. But,
Right.
but
right.
that we can't date each other. That I'm. Here's another thing. That I'm able to be roommates and friends with you, and us do all the stuff we do, and we need Eton Thomas to come from Oklahoma and play at the university here, and all that stuff. It's just, it blows me away that that we're still here in some respects.
Wow.
So I don't know.
No,
that's lost.
No, I get it. I read I was watching an interview that you were doing. You were talking about this, and you were saying that when you went to back home, and you would pretend to be one of your white friends. You know what I mean?
Yeah. See,
tell me that, because that was interesting.
Yeah. That happened twice. Yeah. One of my black teammates had several of my black teammates had white girlfriends. I mean, it's Kentucky. But that didn't seem to be as frowned upon as me dating a black girl for some odd reason. But it yeah, I had two friends who they really liked it. One of them, they got married.
Okay.
So but the girl, the white girl friend wanted, she wanted her parents to meet her boyfriend, who black dude on my team.
Right.
But they came to me in my dorm room and were telling me, and I stopped them short. I said, "You need me to go home and pretend to be your boyfriend?" And they said, "Would you?" I said, "I don't care. Sure." I was 18. Who gave a shit?
Right.
But so I didn't really think of it, during that time as it being, because that's just. And so that happened twice, where I'd sit next to her during the dinner and kind of play around and act like and then go to sleep, and they'd sneak off into the other bedroom, and bizarre. But to think back at that's just so awful, man. Awful.
Wow.
It's awful to have to feel like you would have to do that, really, based on the color of someone's skin.
Right. So moving forward, I just saw a few months ago the Kentucky players took a knee during the national anthem, and Kentucky as a whole didn't react very kindly. I saw the sheriff. I don't remember his name, but the sheriff was burning the Kentucky jerseys, and they were trying to move the some of the funds away from the basketball team. Like, it was big thing. Not like they just said they didn't like it, but they was really trying to start a whole movement to punish the players for doing it. And you spoke out in support of the players, and you were very stern about your words of all the people, the Kentucky fans, who were criticizing the players and criticizing Calipari for standing with them, and the sheriff. Like, Walk me through that process, because you was very adamant about it. You didn't mince words at all. But talk to me about that.
No, it's straight racism. It's straight racism. I don't have any problem saying that. Look, these young men, we know what they're peacefully protesting for. And if I was on the team, I'd be doing the same damn thing. Mm-hmm. Those are my guys. They're my dudes. Yes, we're doing this. I'm trying to be an ally. I see color, unfortunately. I do. I'm trying to, help. I'm still trying to learn. I'm exhausted. I can't imagine you. Right. I can't imagine my Black friends, how they got to feel, especially right now. I mean, anyway, I lost my train of thought. Where was I?
No, you're talking about your reaction to the
Kentucky yeah. Game. And so, yeah, straight racism, because look, these are people, these young men peacefully protested. They took a knee before a national anthem, and they just got eviscerated back here by some fans. Mind you, 2 days, maybe 3 before this happened, patriots stormed the fucking Capitol.
Right.
And these dudes, one of them is sheriff in Laurel County, Kentucky. That's where my mom's from. And they're burning Kentucky jerseys because these players are peacefully protesting police brutality and social justice. And while literally a coup was staged to overthrow American democracy and overthrow the government. Now, they weren't up in arms about that for some reason.
Right.
I mean, the other thing that we're finding now is that, look, we knew what was up all last summer with pulling out the National Guard. In fact, my buddy is the biggest criminal attorney here in the state. We came up together. He lived with me in Charlotte before he became a lawyer. Okay. And he's defended Breonna. He's Breonna Taylor's boyfriend's attorney. Okay. Another young man was murdered, killed by the National Guard, grilling a burger in his house, David McAtee, during the Breonna Taylor riots. And the National Guard was straight called out that fast. And remember how fast? Wow. Remember how fast? Yeah. And then when these dudes try to overtake the Capitol, the National Guard wasn't even on call.
In DC.
The fix was in. Yeah. The fix was in, man. Yeah. And you can't tell me if there'd have been 5,000, 10,000 Black and brown people storm the Capitol that there wouldn't have been bodies. Right. Bodies everywhere.
Right.
We'd still be putting toe tags on people. I mean, and then to go back to, and then they're going to be upset over some Black young men who, we needed our university to be competitive. We don't. There's a lot of people that think that we should recruit more Kentucky kids. And I'll say that I'll be the first to say this. If Kentucky kids could play at this level, they'd be playing here. and we have them every now and then. Jack Givens comes along. Right. Daryl Griffith could have played here. He didn't come here, but Winston Bennett could. He came here. Allen Houston was good enough to play here. He went to someplace else. There are guys that come through, but by and large, if you want to be a competitive top 20 team, you're going to have to go out and get kids from LA and California and New York and New Jersey and Florida. And that's just just like everybody else does in the SEC.
Right.
And so the other part that I really want to try to make a push for, and I don't know how to go about doing it, but I'm going to damn sure try over the next few years. I think it's time for these schools, Syracuse, all of the NCAA, all of the big schools to open their arenas, for voting and voter registration. Because if you don't, what are you telling? What you need these young Black men and women to come to your universities. So you want them to come there. On one hand, you're telling them, we need you. On the other hand, if you don't do those things, you're telling them, but I think you're telling them, but we're not sure we want you as a full part of our community.
Right. Right.
And that we're willing to fight for you.
Mm-hmm.
And so I hope that there will be, there's going to be a lot of resistance and pushback, because they're going to try to roll back some of the shit they've already,
Mm-hmm.
allowed
Mm-hmm.
to suppress more vote, to disenfranchise more people.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we got to stay on top of it.
One of the things I saw when you were talking about and defending the Kentucky players for taking a knee, you looked at yourself and you were saying, that you should have done more growing up, that you should have used your voice. You was really, you started to look inward and criticize yourself. What made you come to that realization? Two-part question. And then also, how important is it for white people in general to use their positions and their platforms to be able to speak to these things? White athletes, but just white people in general to be allies.
Yeah. First part of the question, once again, Etan, please.
So
you give it to me?
So when you were saying that you were looking inward at yourself and criticizing yourself with what you could have done a little bit better, more growing up to speak to those things. What made you say that?
Just seeing what we're going through right now. I really, and maybe I became just not living back here. I've been gone for 20 some years out west, Phoenix, but LA, and but I also had lived in DC. I played for the Bullets in DC. I played in Miami, so I'd lived in big cities, and I had grown. I'd learned. I left the South, and I was able to meet so many people and so many. I knew one Jewish person my whole life growing up. One. I mean, and then David Falk became my agent at age 19, and I called him on Christmas and wished him Merry Christmas. And he said, Rex, I'm Jewish. I said, yeah, all right, Merry Christmas. I had no idea.
Right, I got you.
I had no idea. So there's been a process of me learning things. I grew up, and I want to say this. I go back, and I don't want to make it all about my girlfriend and stuff like that. I go back to being a teenager with my high school teammates. My point guard on my high school team, white dude, he could play, man. And so we were good, and we had battles with my AAU team, our high school team, battles.
Right.
But when we were becoming, we're around that age, you don't know who's better. Everybody's trying to be better. Man, he can jump, he can shoot. You don't know who can do anything. But all of us, 4 or 5 of us, David Hogg, Marcus Robinson, Avery Taylor, myself, we were all pretty good. Like, but I definitely thought a couple of them were at the time were better than I was. They were stronger than I was.
Okay.
I could shoot better maybe, but we were all about the same. And when I talk about my privilege, that I didn't really get it. My dad coached the local college team.
Okay.
Their dads didn't, but all of our dads degenerate gamblers, and they all spent money at the track. So I didn't grow up with money. I'm telling you, I didn't.
Okay.
But when you say you get invited to 5-star or to back in the day around, it was camp called BC Blue Chips or something like that. And when you're young, 13, 14, yeah, you're invited. You still got to pay.
Right.
You still got to pay something.
Right.
Well, guess what? I got to go to those camps. If it cost $150, I got to go. They didn't get to go because they didn't have $150. My dad could find it. He could work and not go to the track that week or whatever. I was going to go. And when I went, guess what? Then and the only way you're going to get noticed it was when you play against really good players. So I was going, and now I'm starting to kind of excel. People are starting to know me in recruiting circles. The scouts are coming to these camps. So I've got a built-in advantage, man. I've got a built-in advantage,
Gotcha.
and it's a level of privilege that they didn't have.
Right.
Also, I knew I was getting 3 meals a day. I knew as we got older, I knew a couple of them, their moms were not, moms weren't even home.
Right.
So they didn't get their grades. There was no emphasis put on that.
Mm-hmm.
I gave no shits about school,
Mm-hmm.
but I was being made to do my work. I also knew I had to stay eligible because I love to play basketball.
Gotcha.
And that was my deal, as long as I was eligible. So, but there was nobody checking for my boys like that. They
Gotcha.
had to do it on their own. And yeah, they might miss a whole semester because they flunked whatever it was. And now they're, even further back.
Right.
And so I realized early on that I'm very privileged. Now, for the work you and I put in, I'm gonna try to kick your ass every day,
Of course.
out there, all of that stuff. But to not realize that the advantages that you've had at this point, I think is pretty telling.
Yeah. No, I agree. I hear what you're saying. And
I
you're
kind of went
broadcasting
off.
that. No, it's good. And now you're broadcasting that, and you're talking about things like when you talk about and show on your Twitter handle the Karens, and you're talking
Yeah,
about the white privilege, and you're pointing
yeah,
that out. It resonates differently with all of white America when you have a white person who points
yeah,
that out.
yeah. You're
Talk
right.
about that, because
Yeah,
I'm sure you get some
and
backlash
I
too.
hate that.
Yeah,
Oh, do I?
I'm
Yeah,
sure,
yeah.
but it
But
just
I really don't
resonates
even.
more.
I really don't even pay attention to that because those are not people I'm trying to connect with. I'm really not at this point. I know who they are. They've been showing me who they are for 30 or 40 years, so I'm really over that. But a big part of it still makes me sad. It still makes me sad that we got to have white people speaking out. I mean, I'm realizing that this is just going to how it's going to be. We're here for this moment in time, and
Mhm.
this is going to go on long after we're here. We just got to continue to make progress. I do have to tell you, it heartens me so much when I see my friends, Steve Kerr, Steve Nash,
Mhm.
Stan Van Gundy,
Mhm.
Greg Popovich,
Mhm.
picking their spots because look, they're still in the NBA.
Right,
I mean,
right,
and we all of us that are in that league, there's a little bit of a tightrope
right,
you need to walk on some issues.
right.
But some of the stuff that they've said is stuff that
Mhm.
they picked their spot. They knew they may even get some backlash privately from the league
Mhm.
on it. So I'm proud. I'm proud of those guys for doing this, and also they're so smart. They're so smart, Eton,
Mhm.
and they all have such different stories. I'm proud to have them as my friends, and I'm proud to kind of be helping. I don't know, advance things.
No, and it's important, and it's so important. It's interesting. I just watched Black Judas, Fred Hampton movie, and you saw where he was really pushing, and they didn't emphasize it a lot, but pushing for having the unity and uniting with the white organizations and the young white
Yeah,
organizations, and then he had the young lords too, and they were all uniting together. They showed it briefly, but that's something that the Panthers did a lot because of the fact that they knew that there
yeah,
was only people who were going to only hear it from the white organizations,
I
and there was
know.
a commonality. But I see that now as well, even from all the coaches, Steve Kerr, Steve Nash,
Yeah,
Popovich. Right now, when they say something, people hear it. They're like, oh.
yeah,
Okay, well, let's listen. Let's look at this a little bit deeper. There's certain people who LeBron can say it,
yeah,
Steph Curry can say it, all
yeah,
those guys,
yeah,
and they look
yeah.
at it kind of like, okay, but then they hear Rex Chapman say it,
I know.
and then they listen a little bit more intensely.
They listen differently,
Right.
and yeah, and I know. I will say I have always tried to walk what I believe, and I'll go back to one of my in high school. I was I was recruited by virtually everybody. I visited Carolina, loved Carolina growing up. I committed to Louisville, almost went to Louisville, loved Louisville. Kentucky, and I really wasn't going to take any other visits, but a guy named Craig Neal. I don't know if you know Craig Noodles. He's a longtime coach. He played at Georgia Tech, and there was zero chance I was going to Georgia Tech because I knew how hard the school was.
Okay.
And so, but he was a good buddy. He had told Bobby Crimmins, he said, "Look, I can get Rex to come for a visit." And I was like, "Craig, I'm not coming to Georgia Tech." And he said, "Come on, we'll have fun." And I said, "All right, look, you know my girlfriend." He knew my girlfriend from home. And and he said, "Yeah, our coaches know." And I said, "What?" And he said, "Yeah." And I said, "All right, well, I'll come. I'm not coming to Georgia Tech." I said, "I'll come on the visit," but the King Center had just been opened. And I said, "If you guys will take me to the King Center, I'll come." And I got there, and me and very first thing, they took me straight to the King Center with John Sally, Bruce Dalrymple, and Mark Price, Mark Price, and Craig. And I stayed in there for 2.5, 3 hours, crying a little, reading, and it was my best fucking visit. I'll never forget it. I'm so glad I went. We also went to a strip club right after that, so it was a great visit.
Okay. You enjoyed yourself.
Yeah.
Well,
So I've tried to keep learning as I've gone, and just because I mean, I still think about it. A lot of my white friends that I grew up with, the black people they know the best are probably my teammates from college and the NBA, that they, when my guys come and play golf, they come out to visit. We all go play golf. They drink together. So, and when you live in a state, I didn't realize that Kentucky, I really didn't. That's how I was kind of weird that I didn't grasp a lot of stuff. I didn't know that Kentucky was like 90% white. I didn't know that. I didn't know there's a state of like 5 million has only 500,000 black or brown or Hispanic people. I didn't know that. And so, yeah, it kind of makes sense that, that they wouldn't be exposed. I think a lot of it too, when we boil it down, a lot of white people just don't know how to talk to black people and at all, and are afraid. But I've found the older I've gotten, a lot of white people are scared to death of talking to black women. And in particular, to me, that in both white men and white women, but maybe even more so white men. And I have some thoughts on it. I'm not sure I want to go into it, but I just think that there's just a basic lack. I mean, hopefully at some point we're going to figure all this out. It's not going to happen anytime soon, but it's got to start with communication. And I was so disappointed that for 4 years during the Trump administration, all the shit going on, there was never like, he didn't ever like reach out to Greg Popovich and Doc Rivers and say, "Look, let's come into the Oval Office. Let's have a real fucking summit about shit." Now, I will tell you this. If this doesn't happen with this administration, I'll be really disappointed. I'll be really disappointed because, and I think they're going to, I really do. But I think there's some big things that have to happen. And first of all, HR1, I mean, that's my next, mission, is that you got to get the Voting Rights Act passed. It's just asinine. It's racism.
Right. No other way to say it.
There's no other way to say it. They can dress it up with voter suppression and all. It's racism.
Yeah.
So
let me ask you, what is your response? What are the responses that you get from some of your, I want like some, I'm sure some white people applaud you, but then I'm
Yeah.
sure a lot of white people are not happy by the things that you point out. And not just in Kentucky, but just, I mean, you got a million Twitter followers. You're like, you know what I mean? The Twitter feed up right now. So what are some of the negative feedback that you get when you're reporting on the Karens and you're talking about the racism of the Trump administration? And what is some of the negativity that you get?
Oh, bro. Hatefulness. You know, I've had my DMs open for some time because I'm writing a book, I'm gonna blast some of these people. They write back racist stuff. They claim to be Kentucky fans. You know, wish you'd have never played at Kentucky. You know, you're a disgrace. All that stuff.
Wow.
You know, can't believe you did a Amy McGrath ad. You know, okay, really? Yeah, okay, all right.
Wow.
So a lot of it. I'll be out at the gas station. This happened not long ago. Dude came up to me, put his hand on my shoulder while I was pumping gas, and said, "Man, what was it? Man, you could have had it so easy if you just be one of us."
Really?
And I said, well, and I looked at him, and I said, what? And he said, yeah, you know, you're just talking that Trump shit all the time. And I went, all right, man. And then when I said, all right, man, he is one of those dudes. And in fact, I filmed a dude yesterday in traffic, painted on Confederate flag on the back of his tailgate. That guy is not somebody that I was going to go at, because he's for sure got a gun in his car and all that. And God is my witness. He walked off and turned around back at me and said, "We gonna beat Bama this week?"
After all of that,
like we're friends. I probably answered him. You know, it's sad, man.
But it doesn't stop you, though. And that's the thing. No. A lot of times when people feel a little bit of that backlash, especially from, you know, their white counterparts, and you know, they're like, okay, maybe I need to cool off. But it's like empowered you to do more, and you were speaking out more.
Yeah. It's not exposing me. I don't think. I mean, and if it is, that's fine. You know, I'm sure I misstep from time to time and say things, and I get too emotional and respond too quickly without thinking. I know I do. And I'm not always right. I can have a wrong take and a wrong opinion, but I try to be informed. I'm tired of it, man. I'm just really tired of it. I'm tired of the blatant, you know, just in your face bigotry.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I gotta say, I definitely applaud you for the way you're using your platform and the way you're standing as an ally. It really means something. I don't want to keep you too long. I'm gonna end it with a few basketball questions.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So who in today's game would you say most remind you of yourself?
In my mind's eye is guys like Devin Booker.
Okay.
But that's not it. I would probably, guys like Klay Thompson and at one point early on, when first time I saw Zach LaVine, because he was real skinny and he had a live body, you know, and I was kind of that way for a little while. I would say, and not as good. I don't mean that, but it was tough for me at that time. I was 6'3.5", 2 guard in the NBA, and most of the guards in the NBA posted up then too, if they were 6'6", 6'7", and Michael and Clyde and all Ricky Pierce, and I mean, I was getting back down, help, double, all that stuff. So, but a guy who struggles to defend today, but is electric offensively, is Jamal Murray, and he's a gunslinger, and I dig that, because he's a bad shot taker, bad shot maker. I love it, but I don't know, man. I'm amazed at the talent of the guys today with the ball handling. You know, back in the day, I know when you were playing, and we were taught, take what the defense gives you. You're just trying to put it in the basket, and so that's what they did. That's what we did. The guys today, they can do that. They can also beat you with a prepackaged move. What? So you can't even guess right sometimes.
Right,
You know,
right.
I mean, I'm
Yeah.
amazed at their ball handling ability, their ability to use their offhand. You know,
Right.
if I scored 10,000 points in the NBA, 9,900 of them were with my right hand.
Right, I got you.
I mean,
They're using both. They're
yeah,
not,
both just going up off the glass. I mean,
yeah,
it's amazing. Part of me, sometimes I feel like I'm watching an all-star game because there'll
right.
be 7 threes taken and nobody's making a shot. And
Yeah.
so that part of me is just an old guy. It kind of
Mhm.
bothers me,
I
but
agree.
also
I agree.
it's a beautiful game. I do hope we go back. I do. You see guys like Joel Embiid taking a step this year because he's putting his big ass on that block down there and
Yeah,
destroying people. Now, also,
right.
he can do the other stuff, but he's made a conscious decision to do it. I do hope because I love post
Mhm.
ball, cutting off the post, using the
Yeah,
big man, and I hope that we trend back a little bit more that way to at least playing one big.
I know, right?
You remember growing up? I think it was in the '80s. I
uh,
was growing up. They started something. It was called the 6'5" and under league. Did you ever know that?
uh-uh.
They started a professional league that was, and it only lasted like a couple years, but it
Okay.
was called the 6'5" and under league, and you could play as long as you were 6'5" and
It's
under.
going under.
That's what our league's kind of like, though. Now,
Yeah, I
yeah,
know.
and
It's
so
crazy.
I know it's all skill
Yeah,
but I look, it's a copycat league.
it
It'll
is.
as soon as we get another big boy down here
That's
that
right.
can do some damage, it'll
That's right.
trend back the other way.
And Golden State's success that they had playing that way made everybody want to play that
Yeah,
way. That's
yeah,
just what it was. So
yeah.
we got to have exactly. Now let me ask you this: do you agree with the Luka Larry Bird comparisons? Or do you think they're just saying Luka more because
Because he's white.
he's white? Yeah, Larry's white. We're gonna compare him to him because
I,
I honestly don't see Larry Bird and Luka. I see more James Harden with Luka. You know what I mean?
yeah,
I wouldn't compare him
yeah,
to Larry Bird. But what is your
yeah. I do see it. The reason on that, I didn't grow up loving Larry. I grew up. Daryl Griffith was my guy. Doc.
okay? Okay.
I liked the high flyers and all that. So I didn't like Larry. Like I did. In fact, I was so stupid that I didn't even really think he was very good.
Okay.
And then I stepped out on the floor with him the very first game,
Uh-huh.
and Kelly Tripucka was standing beside him on my team, and
Uh-huh.
and now I see Larry's 6'9". He's big as a doorway. I thought he was like 6'6". I didn't know.
Nah, he's 6'9".
No, big.
He's 6'9".
And he looked over at Kelly and said, he looked around and said, Tripucka's going to guard me? And we all kind of just looked, and he went, and they got the tip, and he just went 4 down, 4 down, 4 down, and walked Kelly right into the post. He had a triple double in the first half.
Wow.
Yeah, he's just different good. His ability to pass.
Yeah.
So from that, Luka's big. He's not 6'10", but he's
Right.
big, man. 6'8" probably,
Yeah.
and strong. He plays at his pace. I'm with you. I think he is so much because of the ball handling.
Right.
Larry played a lot upright. Luka gets down and
right.
he can. Yeah, his ability to decelerate.
Yeah.
Is off the charts.
Yeah.
I just love him. I get tired of that. It's Tyler Hero. They want to compare him to me.
Right.
But when I go, no, I mean he's good. Like he's he can be really good.
Yeah.
He compare him to Devin Booker and Jamal Murray and Malik Monk, who all just came through here. Compare him to those dudes.
Yeah.
But so I do get it. We naturally, everybody did same thing with Dirk.
Yeah.
Dirk and Larry.
Yep.
And I don't think they were alike much at all to me.
I didn't either.
Not, because
different games.
And Dirk couldn't pass that thing like Larry could pass it. But I mean, fantastic, love Dirkie, but I didn't think they were alike.
I agree.
Yeah.
I wanted you to talk to me about the game where you lit up MJ for 39 points. Well, he was having on you. No, because there was this one part where
Which one?
No, I hear you. I got you. But you play with this swag and this, you had this rhythm and everything like that, and it was great to see. But just talk about that game a little bit.
It was a lucky game.
No, don't say that.
It was a lucky game. I'll tell you this. we had 8 players available. We were in the middle of a trade. We didn't have a full complement of players, and they were in Miami out all night on South Beach. And I know they were because I was right there with them. So they thought they had the night off, and we went in, and I just caught fire,
Yeah.
and we beat them. That was the year they went 72-10.
Right.
So if not for that, they'd have gone 73-9.
Wow.
So I take great. Also, I somebody sent this to me not long ago of the players they played against that year. I scored the most points. I think there was me, then Karl Malone, then like it's just a weird list.
Right.
But what I didn't know, so yeah, I got hot. We won the game. Well, we had to play them another time before the end of the season, and then we were fighting to be the 8th seed.
Mm-hmm.
We ended up being the 8th seed. So now we got them 4 more times.
Right.
We played them 2 weeks later, and Michael and I have been friends. He called me to go to Carolina. He David Falk, agent,
Right.
So we played golf. We bowled. We were friends. I lived in Charlotte. I knew his family, his father, mother, brother, sister. They came to all our games. So we go way back.
Right.
Well, my teams almost never beat Michael's teams. I played on bad teams, Charlotte and the Bullets, so that was kind of understandable. But I'd had personal success at times, but my teams had never really done well against the Bulls. So we beat them, but we got to play them 2 weeks later, and jump ball 2 weeks later at our place. Ball goes in the air, and Michael went and got me right in the sternum with an elbow. And I went, oh, fuck. And I went, man, it's going to be like that tonight, I guess. And it was exactly like that tonight. He got like 40 in 3 quarters, didn't play the 4th. And I went like 3 for 13 points, something like that. And then, came over, gave me a hug after the game. And then we played them the best of 5 back then. Right. They beat us like a JV team, 3-0. We didn't even have a chance. I mean, but that was fun for me because it was my first playoff experience. I'd played 7 years in the league, and I'd never gone to the playoffs.
Right.
And I got to see for those 3 games. Playoffs are different to begin with, but I got to see how good they were. When they were on that mission to, when they were playing the good teams like the Lakers and the Knicks and the stuff like that. So I feel real privileged to have played against those guys. What an amazing team.
But you still gave him 39, even
though. He, in fairness, he might have gotten 12 of them. But
no, the story has to be him 39. Yeah, him 39.
Right. That's the story.
It has to be the story.
Yeah.
So in Phoenix, you just missed someone who went to my high school, grew up in Tulsa, Oklahoma, Richard Dumas. Like y'all just missed each other, right?
I'm glad you brought him up.
Yeah, that's my guy.
Well, I'll tell you this right now. Me and Richard both went through some shit. And my privilege allowed me to come back quicker and with more opportunity, and in a way. And I know the NBA does a lot of stuff for us and guys that are down. So I feel like my privilege has allowed me to bounce back with more dignity. And be more welcomed back from kind of the depths than Richard has been.
Wow.
I don't even know Richard. He was there before I was, and then he was very quickly out of the league. But man, what one of the greatest leapers I've ever seen.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, like silly bounce. Yeah, good dude.
Really good dude. I grew up watching him. Like I would literally go to the Y to watch him practice because he went to Booker T. Washington High School, and I was young then. So he was like the phenom. Like he was the
Right.
man. Like there was Wayman Tisdale and Richard Dumas as the best player.
Wayman, I played with Wayman. Wayman was my teammate.
Oh, that was my guy.
That's my guy.
Wayman Tisdale came and spoke to my middle school at Carver Middle School, and it was just, you know, in Tulsa, we was Wayman and, you know, everything. And
yes.
Richard, and we would watch Wayman and Juneteenth play the guitar.
Play the guitar, man. Play that bass.
He was amazing.
He was an amazing dude. He was so good. I mean,
yeah.
he had a I think he was an all-star.
Uh-huh.
But he had some really good years in the NBA. Mm-hmm. Wayne, you found out real quickly Wayman liked playing that guitar more than he liked playing basketball. Yeah, and he did. And it
was his piece.
It was his thing. Yeah. And it kept him centered. Yes. You know, my kids went to school with his kids when they were little. What an amazing soul. Yeah. Always had a smile on his face. It's still hard to believe he's not around.
I know. Yeah, anyway. Definitely. Yep. Okay, and last question for you. You know, you had like a sneaky bounce, because I don't think the guys thought that you had the bounce that you had. Now, anybody that watched you in college knew that you had bounce. Like they knew, you know what I mean? They knew. But it seemed like a few guys kind of underestimated you in the league for a while and didn't. You could see the way they was trying to measure up. I was like, they don't know that he had bounce. So you would catch people. I saw you catch.
I would try to catch everybody. I really did. I loved it. Me and J.R. Reed, because we were in the same grade in high school, and McDonald's team and all that stuff. So we went way back. And then I came out a year before he did. And then we were teammates in Charlotte, and he was a clown. I don't know if you know JR, but I love him to death. But we went through a period. We went through a period for a couple years where every time I dunked on somebody, we both at the same time, as I'm dunking it and as he sees me about to dunk it, are yelling "cracker." And so, but I tried to dunk on everybody, and I got a lot of guys. I got Sean Bradley. I got Herb Williams. I got Patrick.
You got Patrick. I saw you get Patrick.
I got Manute. And Manute was hilarious because I was a rookie and I was playing. We were playing.
Wait. That was an and one, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
And I went in. I drove in. I dunked on Manute. He caught it. But he was so skinny and everything that I just I forced it in. They called a foul. I fell down, and he picked me up off the ground and said, "If you ever do that again, little boy, I will kill you."
That's what you said. That's hilarious, man. That's a great story, man.
Yeah, little boy, I will kill you.
That is funny, man.
Yeah, man, it was so much fun playing basketball. My teammates, I had the best time. I feel so fortunate. It's a privilege to play in the NBA. Right. You know, I'm proud of our league. I am proud of our league for you know what they've done for them, for the WNBA, because I think the activism and the speaking out, LeBron, Stephen, everybody playing in that fucking bubble. Mm-hmm. We're going to look back on that and realize, look, man, it sucked for a lot of people. It helped us as a society to watch them, but they flipped Georgia, man.
Yeah.
They flipped Georgia.
Who would have thought that would have happened? Amazing.
I mean, I'll be forever indebted because it took Mitch McConnell out of power, man. I mean, now there's still some shit going on, but he's no longer the man. And I've been glad we brought this up.
Okay.
I've been I was 16 and the new senator from Kentucky, Mitch McConnell, had been elected to the Senate. Okay. And we're in school and they let us know that morning that this new senator is flying in a helicopter from Frankfort, Kentucky to Owensboro, Kentucky, which if you drove it is like an hour 20, hour 30. Okay. He's going to fly in there and we're going to go out, we're going to land on our football field and we're going to go out and welcome the new senator. and everybody in the school has to do it. It's just assembly. Got to go do it. So we go out there, and you know, I make my way out to the football field, and they land on the field, and he gets out, and he's got a little handler, you know, with him that's holding his briefcase. Got a Confederate sticker on the briefcase, and I turned right around and walked past the teachers and said, "Fuck this dude, I'm going inside." And went inside and got back inside and got sent to the principal's office and had detention for 3 days for skipping the assembly.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So that, I mean, this is who he is, man.
But who he is, but the courage that you had even at that young age to take that stance.
I knew that. I may not have been saying that for myself about the black-white thing, but I knew that was wrong. Right. I knew I said, y'all lost that fucking war.
Right.
I mean, right. Yeah. That's not even debatable.
Right.
So that I knew that. I had paid attention in school enough to know that.
Wow.
So anyway.
Well, that's great, man. Well, listen, I you know, definitely a lot of respect to you and the way that the way that you bounce back. Thanks, from man. The way that you're using your platform even to talk about that, like, because you're open about that and what you struggled with and what you dealt with, and you being open to that, open about that, helps other people who are dealing with it. And I'm sure you know this already, but they look at you as inspiration. And like, well, he can bounce back from it, and I can bounce back too. So every time they see you, it's like encouraging to them. So I just wanted to tell you that, because there's, it means something. You know, my mom would always tell me that sometimes the things that you go through isn't meant for you; it's meant to help somebody else. Yeah. And you're helping so many people, being an open book with your story. So just want to tell you, brother, respect for that, and looking forward to seeing your podcast and enjoying the Basketball News family and everything. So
we'll have some fun, man. Definitely. Thank you. Thanks for having me. Let's do it again. I'm happy to be in the family. Definitely. And we'll have some fun.
All right, so